Welcome, viewers, to Aegelis Interviews, where we talk to everyday people doing extraordinary things. Hats off to our guest today. Let's go. Today, I am happy to introduce to you Heidi Harris, who has written a novella called Living the Dream, writing books one episode at a time. Living the Dream is a novella you can read on Amazon.com or download to your Kindle. A novella is a series of episodes released over time. I've read 7 episodes so far. Good evening, Heidi. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us about your work. Walk us through Living the Dream, writing books one episode at a time. Share with us what the novella is about.
All right. So for me personally, I just wrote it on a whim. I have been writing since I can remember. So I was the 5-year-old that was scribbling little pictures with words at the top. And I didn't actually publish my first book to 2015. And then I started doing Kindle Vella. And so I had all these years of experience. And I just saw some other authors putting stuff online. And I have a goal of writing one episode a day. And so it was late one night and I thought, oh, I didn't do my episode. I can talk about writing anytime. So I went ahead and I started it. So I was up from probably from 3 to 7 a.m. actually drawing the picture. So I do my own cover art right now, and I have Clip Studio Paint, and I just sit there and I draw. So I was drawing and sketching the whole night, and I thought, okay, now I got to write the chapter.
Sure.
So on Vella, it only has to be 600 words. So a lot of those episodes are only 600 words. And if you have ever been to college, you're like, 3-page paper. If you can do a 3-page paper every day, you can write on Vella and you can do it every day. And a lot of people don't think about that. They're like, a novel is so hard. Well, if you write like 250 words a day and then you do it every day, every month, you've written a novel before the year is up. And so then you have time to edit it. You can do the cover art. And if you want to write faster, then you can write more than one novel a year. Or if you want like something that's like 100,000 words, you can write that as a book as well. It is about writing on Kindle Vella and just all my writing experiences. So I talk about events in there. I talk about starting a Vella. I talk about promoting it. I talk about the cover art a little bit. And I'm still writing it. So if something just pops up that somebody asks on another Vella group. So I'm a part of, like beginner Kindle Vella groups and beginning writer groups. And people often have questions like, oh my goodness, should I write more than one Vella at a time? Yes, 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 yes. Just write the book, because a lot of people will be like, oh my goodness, I got this great idea and I forgot. So my advice is always to write it down. And you know what? Sometimes you're not in a space that you can just write things down. So I'll get out my phone and I'll just open up an audio app and I will just talk about the book for 5 minutes, and I'll save it to a rainy day or later that night, and I just put it on there. So any like beginning questions that people ask in like Kindle Vella author groups that they just don't know the answer to, I'll be like, I got an answer for that. And I turn it into an episode.
Excellent. Good tips for aspiring writers and even existing writers. I thought this was a little different than your typical stories or fiction that you find on Kindle Vella.
Absolutely. And I actually started this past year, September, and I just had this one episode I talk about it. I'm like, I hate my job. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a writer. But then you have to pay the bills too. So Kindle Vella, actually, my first month, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw my all in it. If you've been writing a while like me, you got half-written stories sitting on the back of burner of your computer that has not seen the light of day for one reason or another. And so I just took the one that was closest to done and I started editing it. And I made sure it was at least 600 words. And for me, I have a hard time getting up to 600 words.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, I got to chop it down. No, no, no. I got to get it up there. And so I had like 300 words for most of my chapters. I'm like, oh, that's probably why this wasn't as full of a story as it could have been. And just working with Kindle Vella has made me a better author, a better writer, and a better storyteller. And so I just write up to that 600 words, and I write on commercials. So I sit there and I watch TV, I watch Netflix, I pause it. Like for me, when the episode's over, oh my goodness, I got to make sure I have half a page or a page. And then I can write, watch the next Criminal Minds or whatever that you want to watch. If there's any questions you have about Kindle Vella, just ask me and I might have an answer.
Additional good tips and making good use of your spare time. Was there a specific inspirational event that occurred that said, you know what, I need to write a guide for people who want to write on Vella? Or was it something that accumulated over time? How did
I
that come
think
about?
I found them so intriguing. Like there was a couple other authors, they were just writing them, and I thought, you know what? I wish it was longer. Their stuff's only 7 episodes, and I'm like, I can read what other people are doing and try to, do it to my own life. So I found a couple authors on Kindle Vella that were doing better than me starting out, which is fine because they've been at it for a year and I hadn't. I still haven't been there for a whole year. I started making, December, I quit my job. So like the last day of November, I texted my boss and I said, I'm done at 11 a.m. today. And they're like, what do you mean you're done? And I sent them a resignation notice, sent it in, and I decided I'd live off my 401k for a few months until the author thing started kicking up because my first payment actually paid my rents. My second payment, there was a little dip in things because of the way they did something that month, and it didn't. But the following month did. And, like last month, I made more doing Kindle Vella than I did at my other job. So this coming up month is going to be a little bit slimmer, but it's still, if I took a couple hours off work, it still pays my bills. And right now it does. That might change in the future, but right now it does.
About your previous professions, what other things have you done before writing?
Oh, I was a preschool teacher for 4 and 5-year-olds. And so you learn a lot when you're trying to get kids to stay on the line and be quiet, not hit each other. And if you notice in my books, if you read anything at all, I have a lot of stuff what kids say and kids do. And I think in a really good book, you're going to have a job because, parents need a job. They have to have a job. And most people have kids. It might be a niece, it might be a nephew, it might be their own kids. There's divorces. I have one book that, there was Jack's Frosty Christmas Romance, and her husband cheated on her. So they got divorced. And, I come from a Christian background, so that's biblical. Somebody cheats on you, they divorce. Well, she meets somebody else who is named Jack, which kind of goes with that. Her last name is Frosty. And so I thought, we'll just throw this together and make something super cute and super fun from it. And let's see, I did customer service for a couple years, and I started out as a 12 word per minute author. So I would when I'm first starting my books in 2015, I'm typing 12 words a minute. And if you type, most people that can type, like my niece can type 100 words per minute. She's 11. So that is nothing. But by being a customer service rep in the email department and then doing chats, I went from 12 to, 38 to 40 to 50. So if I get really in the zone, I can type 50 words per minute. And if you are typing faster, then you're going to produce more books. A lot of people are like, oh my goodness, I can't write this book. Why can't I write faster? Well, honey, how fast are you typing? And that is my question. If you aren't typing really fast, go get a job where you type for 6 months and you will, be able to keep up with your thoughts.
All right. So besides living the dream, what other works are you currently working on?
Oh my goodness. I have a chart, so I'm going to peek over here to the side to see what it says. I finished writing Captured. So back in 2015, I published Reality. Well, I kept on writing and I got stuck on book 12. I could not get through it. And I'm like, I'm just going to skip it. I know where I want to go anyway. So I started book 14. So I wrote a little bit of 12. I wrote a bit of 13, and then I went to 14 and I finished 14. And so I thought, when I'm going to start Vella, I'll just go and throw that out there. So that was one of the first books I published in September of last year. And so I actually just finished that last month, and I wrote a season 2 called Resistance. So I'm working on Resistance, and that one I'm writing as I go. So that's going to be a little bit of a slower book because it's not already half there. And so I am writing on 14 books right now because I'm crazy. And I'm just going to go straight there and say I'm crazy. So I have my author book that I'm writing on. I have 2 space books I'm writing on. Then I have Portals of Zagora, which is something I started way back in the day. She accidentally gets pulled through the water to Zagora, and they say, well, just go back home. She's like, I don't even know where I'm at or how I got here. And so she finds out that her dad's actually from that planet and that she thought he walked out on her and he hadn't. And there's this big old laundry story, and it's got all this stuff built into it, which is super fun. Then I have military romance and Black Friday romance. So I started doing holiday romances, because they're usually people pick them up So if you're like a murder mystery writer, just go ahead and put like pumpkin spice murder of, Pumpkin Hill, or, just something crazy like that. So however you write, you can turn any holiday into whatever you need it to be. And so I've been doing holiday romances, and they do okay. Then I have Reverse Ella, which is super fun, and I'm not sure about the ending, so I'm writing that as I go too, which takes a little longer. Her brother's name is Cinder. Her name is Ella. Cinderella.
Very good.
And yeah, just super fun. And they have superhero powers. Her brother can fast forward time, and she can reverse it. Well, they're sent to this meeting. Their mom set them up, and they walk in. They invite two other people from the neighboring city of Treff because they're from Kymos. Of course, you have to have the fun names. If you can't tell, I like super, hero movies, so we'll throw those in there.
Sure.
So they're from Kymos, the other people from Treff, and they find out their parents did an arranged marriage, and they were supposed to go for a meeting. Well, this meeting turns into a lot more than they thought it was. They would never have gotten the plane to go, of course. So there's no way getting out of it, and they're like, what do we do now? So they're starting this whole new like superhero thing called Utopia, where Treff and Kymos actually get along, and they're like starting that. So that's super fun. And let's see, what else do I have? I have my storyteller series, so it's got like tons of books in that. I have 18 published. I have 1, 2, 3 more on Kindle Vella that are published. Let's see, I have Lucy's Groom, that's a mail ordered groom book. And anyway, I got more. I can talk for hours. But if you name it, I have it, and I do update. I try to publish 1 or 2 episodes every day. So there's usually something new.
Fantastic. And who are your friends and family who support you in your writing endeavors?
My dad, when I was little, he's like, "Let me just check your spelling." So he'd pick it up, and he'd be the red highlighter, and he's like, "This word works a lot better." And so he's where I got my dictionary from. So a lot of times I use simpler words just because it's accessible to everybody. And if I add a bigger word in, because my preschool backgrounds and my kid backgrounds, I make sure that I explain the word in the next sentence. So you don't have to go get a dictionary and you feel smarter already because you know the word now.
Right.
And so I just remember, loving that as a kid and loving that as an adult still, because I'm like, I don't want to type it, but I want to know it. I just don't want to type it. So I just kind of explain that in the next sentence when I do a bigger word. And my mom, she's so funny. Everybody says my mom is so sweet, and she is, but with me, she's sassy. And so she's like, well, she called me up, like I actually have this one with me. So Lucy's Groom. I ordered it, had an event coming up. This one, it was all on Kindle Vella. I did the cover art, all that stuff, cute little hat. And she calls me up, and she's like, "What happened to the Christmas episode?" I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's there." And I said, "I did this, this, and this." She's like, "No." She's like, "That's not enough. They did not have a family dinner. There was no presents." I said, "Well, there was presents at their house, just not their parents' house." And she's like, "It's not good enough." And she just started bawling at like 11 o'clock at night. She's like, "I'm going to go take care of your father, and I'm going to call you back, and I need an answer now." And so I'm like, okay. So the daughter I went ahead, I spent, 30 minutes, jotted out an extra chapter. I added the stuff she wanted it to be in it. I set it up on BookFunnel, and I went ahead and corrected it on my book format too. So my next series will go up. And I actually, on BookFunnel, I don't know if I put it in here or not, but I have a little QR code that I put in the books of the current ones that'll lead you to that extra chapter. And I just put bonus chapter, because my mom wanted that extra information. And so my new books will have that, but my old books just has it'll take you to a link and you can read it and you feel smart because you got bonus material. But I added that because she was upset. I'm like, okay, you're crying over this book. I didn't think that would happen.
Right.
So I thought that was super good. And the thing about readers is it changes your perspective. So like this one right here is about 2 twin brothers being in love with each, like the same girl. And so I got a thing from a reader and they said, "Heidi, I was just trying to do my reads. I was trying to do this and you made me cry." By the way, good book. So my mom's sitting there and she's like, "I'm at the funeral." She's like, I did my scripture reading. It was about death. I went to the funeral in your book, and like everything that day was about the funeral, and I felt so bad for her. So it changes your perspective when you look at things. And in my captured story, one of my readers said, "Oh my goodness!" They're like, "Are they going to abduct her? Are they going to do this? What science experiment are they doing?" So because of that line, I added a new character in my book called JC, which wasn't there before. And I went ahead and just added her to the back half of the book. So I had to write her in, and I had to take 5 episodes and throw them together that explain why JC was here and the Reptilians had taken her, and had an emergency C-section, and just like all these little things, and they had to go and get her, and it just a lot of that contributes. So that is one nice thing about Bella is I've changed directions on a couple things because of the input.
Sure. Thank you, Heidi Harris, for sharing your time and insight with us today. For our cherished viewers, we hope you pick up Living the Dream, writing books 1 episode at a time on Kindle Vella or on Amazon.com. The first 3 episodes are free, and then it's just pennies thereafter. You can also support your favorite authors by clicking their follow button on their author page. Leave ratings, reviews, because reviews are like gold. There's a crown button to vote for your weekly favorite Vella. Give them a thumbs up, just as you can click the like button for this video and subscribe. Until next time, blessings be.